Hey everyone! Welcome back. Today, we're breaking down how to dominate the top lane with Mordekaiser in Wild Rift. Just a heads up, this footage was recorded before Mordekaiser's recent buff. Honestly, I was pretty surprised he got buffed in the first place, because he was already a total monster. I'll talk more about his recent buff later in the video. Mordekaiser is a super safe blind pick. If you don't know what the enemy is going to lock in, you can just slam Mordekaiser and be totally fine. He's got the tools to deal with literally any matchup. Mordekaiser is an absolute powerhouse in duels. Thanks to his passives Burn and Move Speed, his isolated Q damage, W Shield and Heal, and E Pull, he dominates extended trades. His kit is literally designed to force 1v1s and just stat check people. And his ultimate, Realm of Death, is an absolute game changer. It banishes an enemy to the Shadow Realm for 7 seconds, steals a chunk of their stats, and leaves them with literally nowhere to run. By taking the enemy carry, or jungler completely out of the team fight, he can completely flip the entire game. But it's not just about the damage. Mordekaiser has serious staying power thanks to his W, Indestructible. It builds up a shield based on damage dealt and taken, which you can then pop for a clutch heal. Combined with his passive, he's an absolute tank during long trades and extended fights. Mordekaiser is already pretty strong early on just by utilizing his passive. But once you stack AP items like Riftmaker, his passive % max health burn scales insanely well into the late game. He doesn't fall off at all, and once he gets fed, his threat level just skyrockets. Oops, while I was explaining all of that, I actually got ganked by the enemy jungler and died. But don't worry, one death doesn't mean he falls off. We're gonna bounce right back and start looking for plays against Cho'Gath. Our matchup today is Cho'Gath. Mordekaiser's passive, Darkness Rise, deals % max health damage, which absolutely shreds through Cho'Gath's massive health pool. The more HP Cho'Gath stacks from his feast, the stronger Mordekaiser's sustained DPS becomes against him. It's the ultimate counter. Yeah, as you can see, Mordekaiser's passive is just melting Cho'Gath's HP bar over time. And since we're running Conqueror, Mordekaiser absolutely thrives in these long, extended trades. With Mordekaiser's W Shield and Heal combo, and his aura damage during extended trades, we can usually outsustain Cho'Gath's entire kit. Since both Mord and Cho'Gath are pretty immobile, it's super easy to land your E. Once you pull him in, he has no way to jump out, so you can force those long trades whenever you want. One major thing to watch out against Cho'Gath is his Q Rupture. You literally cannot afford to step on that knockup. It's his main CC, so you need to react to the animation and step sideways or back away. If you get hit, it makes activating your E and passive super hard, and you'll just get chunked down for free. Also, try not to stack up on top of your minions. When your HP gets low, don't panic. That's actually when Mordekaiser can turn things around. Use your W to absorb their damage, pull them back in with your E, and get your passive rolling to heal right back up and win the trade. When your HP is low, avoid walking up to Cho'Gath carelessly. If you're not careful, his R, Feast, can literally one-shot execute you from full to zero. Cho'Gath's W Silence is pretty annoying. It messes up your spell rotation. So make sure to get 3 passive stacks and land your E first before you fully commit to the trade. Also, try not to let Cho'Gath stack up for 3. You want to deny him farm and keep him from getting huge off minions or jungle camps. That said, don't force kills too hard, because overchasing can easily backfire. Looks like Evelyn thought she could one-shot us, but Mordekaiser's W shield is deceptively tanky. Realizing she can't secure the kill, she panics and tries to run, but our jungler just rotated in. Now we've got her caught in a pincer attack. And there it is! We finally secure our first kill on Cho'Gath. From here on out, Mordekaiser is completely rolling, and there's no stopping him. Now, let's break down Mordekaiser's kit in detail, so you can see exactly how he dominates the Rift. Next up, Mordekaiser's passive, Darkness Rise. It grants magic penetration that scales with his level, and get this, it actually just got buffed recently in patch 7.2D, making him shred tanks even harder. Hitting enemy champions, or large monsters with basic attacks or basic abilities grants a stack. You can hold up to 3 stacks, which lasts for 5 seconds and refresh on every hit. Once you hit 3 stacks, you unleash the Darkness Rise, aura field around you. Once active, the field deals magic damage per second to nearby enemies within a 375 radius, and grants you bonus movement speed scaling by 3, 6, or 9% based on your level. Plus, keeping up hits or getting takedowns while the field is active will continuously refresh its duration. This passive is the absolute core of Mordekaiser. Your damage output is night and day depending on whether it's active or not. In lane, make sure to execute your combo. Pull them in with E, then follow up with Q and basic attacks to get that passive rolling fast. Once it's up, that burn aura melts even tanks, making extended trades your bread and butter. Just keep in mind that minions don't give stacks, so you got to land your stuff on enemy champions. Next up, skill Q Obliterate. Mordekaiser smashes his mace in a target direction, dealing magic damage to all enemies in the area. This is his main source of damage, so hitting this consistently is key. The range on Q is pretty massive, kind of like Shaun's Q. But unlike Shaun, the cast time is super short, which makes it really reliable and hard for enemies to dodge. Here's a crucial tip for Mordekaiser's Q. If you use it right through a minion wave, the damage gets split and falls off. So ideally, you want to single out your target and land it clean. Practicing how to adjust your angles to weave past minions and hit just the champion is super important. As for your skill maxing order, maxing Q first is the absolute standard. Next up, W, Indestructible. Its passive stores 35% of the damage you deal, though it's reduced to 25% against non-champions, and 7% of the damage you take as a potential shield. This can stack up to 30% of your max health, and once the cooldown is up, you're guaranteed to have at least 5% of your max health already stored ready to go. As for the active effect, you convert all that stored damage into a shield that lasts for 4 seconds. If you recast it while the shield is still up, you consume the remaining shield to heal yourself for 35 to 42% of that amount. The W skill is the absolute backbone of Mordekaiser's sustain. The standard trading pattern is to stack it up beforehand, pop it to absorb incoming damage, and then recast it for a clutch heal whenever you need that extra health back. Pro tip, if you pop your W before trading, your shield will be way too weak. The smart play is to activate it after you've dealt or taken a decent amount of damage. Plus, you can use your W inside your ultimate's realm, which massively boosts your 1v1 survival potential. Next up, E Death's Grasp. It sends out a claw in a target direction, pulling all enemies caught in the area straight towards you. The E skill is Mordekaiser's ultimate gap closer. Since he's completely immobile, this skill is literally his lifeline. Without it, he has no way to close the distance and take favorable trades. The bread and butter combo is pulling them in with E, then immediately following up with Q and basic attacks to get your passive rolling in no time. It's also super effective for yanking fleeing enemies back or trapping them against a wall. How well you use this skill can completely swing the matchup, so you really want to make sure you're landing it consistently. Here's a clip from a different match. Mordekaiser actually deals with ranged top laners just fine. Once you pull them in with E, immobile ranged champions have basically 0 ways to fight back. This is why Mordekaiser is just the absolute best pick for punishing those heathens who dare to play ranged champions in the top lane. Absolute justice, LOL. Now for Mordekaiser's ultimate, Realm of Death. He drags a target enemy champion into the Death Realm for a 4-7 second 1v1. Upon cast, it applies a 75% slow and reveals them. He steals 8% of their current AD, AP, attack speed, max health, armor, MR, and size, adding those stats to himself while instantly healing for 8% of their max health. If you manage to secure a kill inside the Death Realm, you keep those stolen stats until the enemy respawns. It's the ultimate pick tool in Disengage Cutter. The dream scenario is isolating their carry or jungler to create a numbers advantage. If you ULT a tank, you get massive stat steals, but there's a real risk you won't be able to finish them off. Inside the realm, your Q always counts as an isolated target, which boosts your damage big time. Even better, get your passive rolling before you cast it. But be careful, if you ULT the wrong target, you'll actually screw over your team. Timing and target selection are everything. Riftmaker is an absolute must-have for Mordekaiser. It consistently pops up as a first or second core item in builds and stats. Mordekaiser's playstyle is all about getting in your face, triggering his passive, and slowly grinding enemies down in extended fights. Riftmaker fits this like a glove. Your passive aura, basic attacks, and Q burn keep your Omnivamp rolling smoothly, and it synergizes amazingly well with your W shield into heal, massively boosting your sustain in lane and 1v1s. In combat, it stacks up to increase your damage and eventually converts a portion of it into true damage. Since your force is a 1v1, it's super easy to max out those stacks and fully cash in on that true damage. If your opponent is stacking Heartsteel and turning into a raid boss, Liandry's Torment is an absolute game changer. Tanks with Heartsteel stack up massive health pools, making them super hard to melt with normal damage. But Mordekaiser's passive already deals max health percentage damage. When you add Liandry's, which burns them for another 2% of their max health over time with your abilities, you're shredding them with a double dose of percent health burn. On top of that, Mord's extended fight playstyle synergizes perfectly with Liandry's Madness passive, which ramps up your damage the longer you stay in combat. Once you drag a tank into your realm for a 1v1, that continuous burn melts through their massive health bars with ease. For this match, I went with Liandry's Torment as my first item to really apply pressure on the Cho'Gath. Since he keeps stacking that massive health bar, rushing Liandry's lets us punish him right from the landing phase. Rylai's Crystal Scepter is insanely good on Mordekaiser. His biggest weakness is low mobility. Even if you pull someone in with E, they can often slip away or make distance during the cast, making it tough to keep your passive rolling. Rylai solves this completely. Its passive slows enemies by 30% for 0.75 seconds whenever you deal damage with abilities or empowered attacks. Once you pull them with E, the slow kicks in and traps them. Your Q gets that slow, making it way easier to land isolated hits. Your passive aura keeps refreshing the slow, which drastically boosts your sticking power. Plus, it works inside your death realm, making those 1v1 shutdowns super reliable. That said, if the enemy team is full of immobile tanks, you could actually skip Rylai's and prioritize Liandry's or defensive items instead. While the slow is amazing, if the enemy has high tenacity or cleanse, its value drops, so you gotta know when to pivot to other core items. Rylai's Crystal Scepter is an incredible item that patches up Mordekaiser's weaknesses while supercharging his strengths. Pairing it with Riftmaker keeps you super consistent from the landing phase all the way through mid-game team fights. And against Heartsteel stackers, the Rylai's plus Liandry's combo is an absolute game wrecker. Highly recommended. Mordekaiser looks like an absolute monster, but of course, he has clear weaknesses. First, his mobility is basically zero. With no dashes, he has to rely entirely on his passive's movement speed buff. If you get kite from a distance or hit with slows in CC, you can't close the gap and you're essentially a sitting duck. Second, his early game is weak. Before getting his core items, he easily loses trades. If you force fights too early, you're just asking to get punished. Third, target selection on his is massive. If you ULT the wrong target, you can accidentally create a severe numbers disadvantage for your team. And fourth, he struggles hard against heavy CC and true damage. If you get stun locked, you can't do anything, and you'll just get out damaged by high sustained damage or true damage dealers.